going to start this.
Okay, okay.
Now this time, I'm going to take the time to look through the
Yeah.
proper, spot in my glasses and line up and make sure I have the proper tracks recorded. I can't believe I did that.
Don't worry. It was also fun, you know.
Hey gang, what's up? Me? I feel stupid. Last week I was fortunate enough to have the charming Thomas Nell on my podcast. Thomas is a true artist, a very experienced lighting designer and senior partner at Spotlight SRL in Milan, Italy. Spotlight is a manufacturer of high-quality theatrical lighting fixtures. The reason I feel stupid? Well, Thomas's voice was coming in on tracks 9 and 10, and I was recording tracks 11 and 12. Yeah. 60 precious minutes of pure nothing. And that, my friends, is one of the many reasons I am not a sound man. Apparently, I'm not perfect, so I can't be a sound man. So in the future, if anyone catches me making another mistake, don't be afraid to tell me, and I will make it a pleasure to repeat that I am not perfect. Luckily, Thomas, being the gentleman that he is, offered me to do it all over again. I will never thank him enough for that. The content and wisdom in this episode is truly outstanding. We'll get on with the interview right after this. The Backstage Cowboys podcast is brought to you by AVL Media Group and Avolights, who make the best lighting consoles in the world. If you live in Canada, you now have access to the Avolights Academy online learning platform. The cost is $229, and that includes an editor AvoKey delivered directly to your door. Head on over to BackstageCowboys.com and click on the Avolights Academy logo to get all the details. Now, if you don't live in Canada, well, that means you're in another country. So if you're in the United States, head on over to avolights.us. Anywhere else in the world, just go directly to avolights.com and you'll find all the resources available in your country. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is another episode of the Backstage Cowboys podcast. Che la musica abbia inizio. When I copied the tracks onto the computer, and then I went, how come I'm not getting any sound? And then I realized that I was recording the wrong track. And because of the angle on which my mixer is, I lined up, the wrong button with the wrong slide. So anyway, we're back. Thomas, thank you so much for your patience.
No problem. Absolutely no problem.
Thomas, welcome to the show. This is take 2.
It's every time very happy to talk to you, and not only to you, but I know that many people are hearing and following you. So it's really a pleasure.
Oh.
I hope I can make or I can tell you something that is really useful for everybody, not only for myself. For myself, doesn't matter.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. And from having done this interview once, I can tell you that there's a lot of valuable information in there. So, Thomas, can you tell? Let's start with what you do now. What is your exact position? You're at Spotlight Italy, obviously, in Milan.
Yeah.
What is your position right now?
Well, as lighting designer, of course, I have also to tell a little bit about my history, because I went 20 years ago. Directly joined in Spotlight because I had I was a good customer. Many of my productions and so on, I was buying from Spotlight because they could really following me in my needs of in productions and so on. And yeah, what I'm doing, I'm still doing lighting design more from educational point of view, well, training people, helping people, trying when there is a project, not only to give suggestions about how they can realize certain lighting challenges, but also that we can launch then development, so that we are, for this special project, we are doing then a special light for, and this is very happy for me, so that I can give all my experience that I have then into a development of a new product, and so that we are doing we are manufacturing something that is really problem solving to the customer, and not only say, oh, you have to buy this box and you will be happy. No, we try to make happy the customer, giving them a product that is working for their needs.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go back and forth a little bit in time as we go on here. There's one thing I'd like to begin with, because I want to know a lot about you as a person, and as you know, all the experience you have. First thing, I noticed that you speak 5 languages. Well, I'd like to know what those 5 languages are, and I would also like to know where you're from.
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm born in Germany, and I had all my education there. Well, we are learning from I think from 8 years on English. It's is a must in a school. Of course, it's not enough to be then on the run, but for communication is okay. Then I had in certain moment the possibility to study in Italy, and for studies, of course, you have then, for university level, you have then to really go dig deep inside the language. And then, of course, I finished then my studies in the French-speaking Switzerland. So I had also then to study French. Then also I have relatives in Spain and in Mexico. I traveled. I made a lot of tourings in South America, where I must speak Spanish. And these are the 5 languages. German, the mother language, then a little bit English, as you can hear, then French, Spanish, and what is that?
Italian, obviously.
Yeah, Italian. Sorry. No.
So how long have you been in Italy?
Well, in Italy, I moved as a student already more than 30 years ago. So, but you have to imagine that my hometown in Germany is just 600 kilometers from Milan. So this is a different distances, like in the US or in America, let's say.
Yes.
So we are everything is very close. You know, Europe is a small place with many languages, and if you would like to communicate to each other, then you have to be very flexible, not only learning a lot of languages, but also different mentalities.
Yes, I suppose that does make a difference, especially moving from one country to another. In your early years, as you were studying, you were not only acquiring some knowledge, academic. Yeah, I have to say it again. I'm a French guy. I think in French and I speak in English, so sometimes it comes out funny. So you weren't only getting academic knowledge, but you're also getting culture knowledge.
Yes, This is fundamental. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So that's why
Yeah, because
Europeans in general are more intelligent than Americans.
no, that's absolutely not. You know that the Americans, the roots are all here in Europe. You know.
Yeah, we're all from Europe at some point in history.
Yes.
I'd like to go back. I'd like to say way back, but I'll be careful with my words. I'd like to know how you got into. I mean, we will eventually get to all your studies, but how you got into the theatrical world or the show business. How did that happen? What was what clicked? I mean, what made it that you wanted to go into this to this field?
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, it's not something that I had in my mind to do. It was not a project. It was not a concept that I made up by myself and tried to follow it. Yeah, it came out from the life by itself. For example, I was on stage already when I have been 6 years, and well, also because of my relatives. I'm coming out from from artistic family, if you like, where also all my nephews and so on. We had a kind of let's say competition also. Well, where we try to make music and whatever, and so this artistic blood that I have inside was every time the driving how to say the motor of every of my creativities, and also the most happiest part of that what I would like to do in my life. So the creativity and expressing that, but without making, how to say, plannings.
Mm-hmm. You say you were on stage as of age 6. So what were you doing on stage? Singing or?
Yes. Well, in the beginning it was mainly singing, then also acting for theater plays and so on, but nothing of special. Well, it was just that what we had also to do in school, and then of course in certain moment, I started also very early to make photography, because of an uncle that his big, how to say, hobby was photography and so on. He transmitted a little bit to me. Not only he transmitted it, but he led really a passion for that. Mm-hmm. And this is already the, how to say, the basics for lighting, because in photography you take that what you see, what you have in front of you, and in lighting design you do it actively. Yeah, and when you have from early beginning a training to see things and to make the composition in photography, then it's the first, how to say, step also going to do it actively with your luminaires. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a very important preparation then, doing lighting design.
Yeah. Okay, so you started doing photography. So what were your early studies? I mean, did you have a particular field in which you wanted to study in, or did you just do general studies and then eventually headed towards something, or what was it exactly that you were studying at a young age?
Yeah, well, you know, when you're young, then you never know what to do and what to choose. So, well, it came out from life, and certain moment I had to choose which direction to take, and that time it was very fancy to study electronics.
Yes,
so,
I remember.
And then also my parents, they pushed me, yes, to electronics because you can make then some money afterwards. You know that with artistic things, you can never make money normally
Yep,
if
that's
you're not
true.
really on the top.
Mm. Well, you're not in
So
control anyway. You can't just go say, I'll sing or I'll dance and then I'll go get a job doing that. It doesn't work that way.
no, absolutely not. And also, for parents, it's every time important to have a stable basement for your life. So
Hmm.
artistic life is not a very easy way of have stability, if you like.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And of course, then from electronics, and certain moment. I got engaged then from an international performing art group in Italy. Of course, after my studies also in Italy, so where they know also my artistic, how to say, talents and so on, and they asked me to do then the lighting design together also with the scenography. Because if I can tell a little bit about my how I see how lighting design should be
Yes,
made,
please.
is every time it was or it is for me a challenge that it's not only a question of to have the right luminaires or the right lighting desks and so on, but it goes together with the scenography. So because I'm mm, I'm practically illuminating then an object or a three-dimensional dimension on the stage, and I would like to not only to make a light on it, but also giving a feeling, an expression, an emotion. Yeah,
Hmm.
I would like to take out something that a message, an information that is coming not only from the light, but also from where I make the illumination, what object I'm illuminating, and which kind of feelings that I'm transmitting in that moment to the visitors or to the audience.
Hmm.
And I think what we, especially in our days, uh, what we can see that many people are just trying to buying the latest effect lighting, yeah,
Yeah.
and with that they try then to say, okay, I have made a good lighting design, yeah, using the latest effects. But this is absolutely not the way how I see a lighting design. I mean, it is not just a machine or like a robot that you push button and then is doing ping pong pong, and but it's really, how to say, something deep inside of myself that I have to, or that I try to express with my luminaires and with my lighting. And um, and this is something that yeah, that you cannot just do with the latest gobos or effects, pushing from your lighting desk some buttons and then it's doing how to say, a random effect or whatever.
Hmm.
Well, this is then the difference in between a technician and a lighting designer. Yeah. Uh, in one side, well, as lighting designer, you try to see the context, and you put the things inside a context of information, of a message that you would like to transmit, an emotion. And the other side, the techniques are helping to do that. But well, in my opinion, techniques can never, I also say, go just by themselves. Yeah, it's a service, but at the same time, we as human beings should give that what we have, our creativity, our ideas, and transform a machine into something living.
Yes, I understand. It's the creativity of a lighting designer relies a lot more on the message you want to send, on what you want to give, what kind of feeling you want to express, rather than starting from what your equipment can do and then building from that. It's the other way
Yes.
around. You
Yes.
what you want to express, and then you find a way to make your equipment deliver that.
Yes.
And I'm
Exactly.
thinking,
Yeah.
like, in all the years of experience you've had, you've seen like a couple of technical innovations. Um, in in everything you've seen that came on the market or that was invented since you've started doing light design, what would you say if you had to name one thing that had the most impact on your work? What would that be?
Well, I have two things. What was important for me. Of course, years ago, and I tried to explain it a little bit the last time. Well, the development practically of the moving heads, because nowadays everybody would like to work just with moving heads in on the stage and so on. And I was quite lucky to be on the, how to say, nearly the birth of this technology, or I started to work with that. I remember I had the first scanners, yeah, in that
Mm-hmm.
time. Well, it was in the 80s, where we were working with scanners. That was practically just a profile spot with a mirror in front, and
Mm-hmm.
then you moved around the mirror, and this was a very fancy discotheque effect. And but this effect light, it came out practically much earlier, because and there is fundamental also in this development spotlight, because um, spotlight, well, in certain moment had to solve a problem that is every time a big issue in the Teatro alla Scala. Teatro alla Scala is here our the biggest opera house,
Mm-hmm.
and is also from the history. Well, the first opera house in modern style, um, from from the Middle Age, practically. And well, they have such a huge stage with 20-meter large and 50-meter high and so on. You cannot just go with a ladder and to
Mm.
positioning the lighting. So they ask very early, ask for some help in order that they don't need to go every time there and to touch hands. So in that time, then in the 70s, it was just then a spot where we fixed then on the side part a motor, and then on the top a motor, so that it was then driven by 0 to 10 volt. And so where you are looking just on the stage, and then you move two potentiometers up and down, and you make your positioning then of the luminaires of the beam on into the stage. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was a very, how to say, basic way of a moving head, but it worked quite well. Of course, in that time, well, with 0 to 10 volt, it was then really the challenge. We must have a new kind of a protocol, and then came out of DMX, and the DMX 512. Of course, in the beginning, we had a lot of problems, that many products are not working correctly together,
Mm.
because the signal was not, how to say, standardization was not very well done in the beginning. And so but for us, for Spotlight, we made already before these scanners, projectors, let's say moving head type, yeah. And of course, when it came out, then the discotheque market, well, they would like to have not only a moving light that is moving slowly, but also very quickly and so on. But this was not then our particular, how to say, interest to serve this market. And we went ahead, of course, then to develop our ARC, our automated remote control system, where you don't need to have any reset. Well, especially, you can imagine in a television studio or in a theater, if you have in the beginning just a minute for the reset up and down with a lot of noise. This is something that is absolutely forbidden in a professional production, because if something happen, blackout, then then you are really, how to say, in trouble with something like that. Anyway, this was also for me some very interesting, how to say, product where it gives also the possibility with less luminaires doing much more things in the same time. And this was one product that has how to say, made a revolution into the market. And of course many other companies then started up, and well, we have all these thousands and thousands of different moving heads on the market. And
yeah, but the ARC you're talking about is something that is specialized to mount a conventional light on, or could be LED, but it could be a Fresnel or an ellipsoidal, and that yoke can be operated by DMX, and it can be operated manually also. So if you place it in a certain area, even if power goes out or if the signal is lost, it'll keep its position. And when power returns or when it's turned on and off, it'll never go back to its home position and try to find its home position and reset and all that, because obviously there's limitations to what you can do with a Fresnel, with a barn door and all the accessories. You can't go 180, 360. It's restricted, so you have to be able to rely on the position, on the last position, and start from there.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, then the second, how to say, big challenge, and where we are still living in, is the LED technology.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm quite happy also to be in Spotlight, because with our research and development, we started very early to make our first LED product. It was already around 2000, 2004, 5, in that time. So of course, in the beginning, it was really, how to say, not very fancy to work with LEDs, because we had only this RGB LEDs, and at that times, well, the most of luminaires there was just this ones where we are talking about pizza effect, where you have all these colors that are coming.
All these different RGB sources that are, we call them jelly beans here.
Yeah, exactly. And and you can imagine for a lighting designer with a certain, how to say, feeling, artistical feeling, this is just like, how to say, harlequin, something very, for carnival is okay, but not for discotheque, but not for a professional artwork, And so we have been waiting then at the moment that you had LEDs where these three RGBs are combined together in order to get just one beam, and you don't see this pizza effect, this jelly beam effect. And so in that way we started then in Spotlight with our LED products, and then very quickly also we developed a lot of LED products around the phosphor technology. And what is a bit strange for me is in the architectural sector, yeah, practically they know only products made by the phosphor technology instead of our entertainment industry. Practically, if you ask them, or do you know about the phosphor LED technology and so on, not many people knows what is the difference and from where it is coming. So
yeah, can you explain? Can you explain the phosphor technology?
Yeah. Practically, well, the most important, how to say, point for this technology had been in 2014 the Premio Nobel in Physics for the three Japanese guys that invented this phosphor technology. And don't ask me the names because
I knew them. I just don't remember by heart, but I have them in a document somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and practically they have been very clever because the thought was an LED dye is how to say it can generate just one electromagnetic frequency and exactly only this frequency, nothing more and nothing less. So this is also, the advantage of the energy saving of an LED. And the problem is that our visible light or the sunlight is not only one electromagnetic frequency, but a very large bunch, as a spectrum of different frequencies that our eyes can percept, and where all this information gives us a feeling inside ourselves. And if you would like to generate then with an LED dye a continuous color spectrum as our sunlight is doing, they said, okay, it's only possible to do it over a burning process, because here on Earth, physical wise, if you are burning something, you get immediately a continuous spectrum of light, not only just one electromagnetic frequency.
Which explains why the original incandescent bulb had such a good color rendering.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly, because it was directly a burning process. So they said, now how can we make with an LED dye a burning process? And well, from the history we know it already, because the fluorescent lamps, they're working in the same way or in a similar way. Fluorescent lamps are generating inside the tube just ultraviolet lights that you can perceive. You don't see it really clearly, and then they're using then this phosphor coating inside this glass tube in order to make a kind of a refraction of this electromagnetic frequency. Practically, this ultraviolet light is charging the phosphor, and the phosphor starts to illuminate by himself. And practically he's slowing down then the electromagnetic frequency into a continuous visible color spectrum. And in relation, then if you put more or less phosphor, then this color temperature of white light is changing then. And well, they said, okay, let's do it in the same way, so that we are trying to make a very high frequency blue LED dye in order to get as most as possible the energy to charge this phosphor. Phosphor then is making is vibrating, let's say like this, and generating a kind of a burning process that is generating then the complete electromagnetic spectrum that what we see. And of course then with the time ongoing, there has been a lot of qualities of these phosphor LEDs. So they had in the beginning to invent the kind of measurement of the quality of this phosphorus. So and they came out this CRI discussions, color rendering index,
Yeah.
because it was just the comparing in between a halogen lamp source, because in that times before that on the market mainly were existing only halogen lamps, and then of course also the discharge lamps, but these are a little bit special, and so they made a comparing in between the halogen and the LED, and I said, okay, let's take a look. Halogen maybe is 100%, and how distant is then this LED white light? And then they gave all these CRI values. With them, we are still working, even if nowadays it makes no sense anymore, because we are already over this this, how to say, these problems of this new technology that was starting up into the market, and had to have a lot of research to get it better and better. Yeah, well,
See, I know. So you just explained the UV LED going through a phosphor coating, and that turning into a high quality white light. In today's standards, we'll create white light with different sources of different colors of LEDs, right? So, and I'm referring to the 6-color Hyperion light that recently came out. Can you explain a little bit about that? How can you get the same quality and the same full spectrum from different sources of color if they're all vibrating on one certain frequency? How are you able to fill the gaps between those frequencies?
Yeah. Of course, how to say, the challenge was then to increase practically the white light, the quality of the white lights, using then more electromagnetic frequencies together, and of course that the 6-color engine is for, if you look at the quality of the white light that is coming out in this moment, the state of art. Well, you can also put also other frequency inside, but then you are losing light output, and but there is still, how to say, a problem, because if you are just making a projection against a white wall or something that is white looking, then of course you have a very, very high color rendering. And but the issue is when you are illuminating then an object with colors, let's say in the fashion industry, where it's very important the quality of the colors of tissues and so on. Then well, the tissue itself, what you are illuminating with this color, is not generating by itself that what is not arriving as an electromagnetic frequency. So then we calling it metameric failure. The metameric failures of a 6-color engine is still there. You cannot, how to say, cancel it, because in between this 6, 7, or 8 or whatever electromagnetic frequency, you have every time a gap in between. And what is coming back then, if you illuminate something very colorful, well, there's then still something missing. And then you have to decide in your lighting design where I should use a colored light and where I should use the phosphor technology to illuminate, for example, faces, skin tones, and so on. Of course, you can also do it, but there's a big difference in between illuminating with front light, for example, a person with the phosphor technology in relation using a six-color engine, for example. Yeah. Of
What I
course,
wonder though is the six color engine, or call it what you
yeah,
will. I mean, there's several sources of technology using the same thing. Some of these mixtures of colors render like 94, 95, 96
yes, yes.
color rendering index. So how much better can you get from a phosphor light? First of all, I'd like to understand any white light, whether it be warm white, neutral white, cool white, is using this phosphor technology, right?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
so
Yes,
that's
yes.
those are the white LED engines. So when you're creating
Yeah.
white with, let's say, take for example a six-color source, and you're able to produce something like 95 CRI,
Yeah.
how better are you getting? Is there another measure than CRI to tell the difference between a phosphor light and a mixture of
Mm.
colors, or is it just like a
Yeah,
two
yeah.
percent difference?
Yeah, well, this is a big discussion that is going on in this moment on the market because, as I told you before, the CI was done in the 50s, 60s when there came out then on the market the discharge lamps. Yeah, it was just especially in the architectural market, it was the measurement to say, aha, with these discharge lamps, because then the discharge lamps were filling up all the, how to say, the architectural sector, all
Mm-hmm.
the big shopping malls and so on, because with halogen you
Mm.
have too much heat
Yeah,
and too
of course.
much
The
power
problem
concentration.
with
Yeah,
discharge lamps is the lifespan, because
yeah,
as the light burns down, then the color will shift, and then you're not getting the same result. We've been through that
exactly.
problem.
Yes, exactly. And in that moment, it was done for the architects, not so much for our entertainment
Hmm.
industry, because in the entertainment industry, I should be able also to work with a candlelight, yeah, and not only with a candlelight, also with sodium lights, yellow lights, and whatever. Yeah, we love to work with colors in the entertainment industry. Yeah,
Hmm.
and so a CRI was done in that time, and nowadays we are coming to a point that we say we must have other tools, yeah, like the now it's called RA4, or well, there are all other measurements in order to to give the quality of an LED light source, how they are reproducing the colors, and what the quality of this light source is giving you. Yeah,
Hmm.
so we have to practically to restart a little bit our experience, not anymore based on CRI, but with much more, how to say, measurements of different values and so on. And this is a big, how to say, challenge for lighting designer nowadays. In the past, we had just the halogen lamps, and it was every time CI 100, if you like. and in this moment, we have not only 3000 or 3200 Kelvin, but all these different 4000 Kelvin, 5600 Kelvin, and much more that we couldn't have in the past with done by discharge lamps and so on. So uh, it's it's a new world, completely a new world, and you cannot say that with just one color engine you're covering all the needs for your lighting problems. Yeah, this is also that message that we are getting from Spotlight. You cannot just work with one type of LED engine. You have to. We are working in this moment at least with 6 different LED engines,
Mm-hmm.
and there are coming also others, yeah, in the future. Yeah, we are already developing around, because our 6-color engine is the state of art, but we try also to put inside there also some phosphor LEDs
Oh,
in order to get the spectrum really
ah,
continuously,
I see.
and so
But at
on.
that point, it becomes a heat management challenge, right?
Of course, it's how to say, it's a big challenge for every developer to get under control, especially the heat problems from an LED.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is many people say, LED doesn't make heat. No, no, no. If you come to a certain how to say power of an LED, then you have to solve all these heating problems.
Yes, yes. People have the. It's an illusion that LEDs don't make
Burn or
heat.
don't
That's
don't
for
make
sure.
heat. Yes, yes,
I'd like you to
yeah,
tell me the story that last time you told me this. The first time you lit
mhm.
up a painting with that
Yes, right.
phosphor technology. That was pretty amusing. That story.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. Well, my education I'm growing up in the halogen world, and as lighting designer, I was every time saying that, yeah, the best is halogen. LED, you can use it just for some color applications, and that's it. And you have to work with both technologies. And so then I had to do really an experience of a mind change, of a change of my mentality inside my conviction that halogen is the best what you can get. And well, I have made also a specialty at the University of the Polytechnicum here in Milan, illumination for cultural heritage. Especially in Europe, you have to do this if you are going to illuminate some Middle Age paintings or um, yeah, churches with a high how to say historical background,
Mm-hmm.
so where you could how to say damage a cultural value using the wrong luminaire. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to have a certification or approval, kind of a master that you have to do in order to do this kind of
Yeah,
project.
there are subjects
And
that are very sensitive to the
tricky.
type of
Yeah.
light, like wine. Like when we do
Yes.
wine tasting events, it's very
Yes.
important that
Yeah.
at the time, anyway, we were using incandescent lights, and we had to shield the lights to control the heat, to control the
Yeah.
UV. And I'm going to let you carry on, but I do have a question. This phosphor technology, where
Mm.
you start with a UV source and you run it
Yeah.
through, a
Yeah.
field. Anyway, a
The
phosphor
phosphor.
thickness thing,
Yeah. Yes.
and
Yeah.
so once the light has been emitted by the phosphor,
Mm.
is the UV totally absorbed, or is some of that UV spilling out?
Yeah, yes, yes, exactly. Well, there, it was very funny because in the past there was a lot of discussion, a little bit also like in our times where we have people that says it's very dangerous, and you can even die from it, and whatever, all these stories. Um, well, um, Practically in the moment that you are putting in front also a glass filter, then you are immediately killing, or let's say filtering away the
Okay.
UV irradiation. And sincerely talking, we have in the past we had much more problems in the discharge lamps. Discharge lamps has a much higher component of ultraviolet,
Wow.
and you had in this time to put every time a UV filter
Mhm.
in front. Yeah, and you can imagine a discharge lamp that was also the power of 2,000 watts of a light source behind. Nowadays, you have LED light source that has maybe 100, 200 watts. And you have also to think about which kind of energy is going on. So this 100 watts, let's say, of an phosphor LED, well, first of all, cannot generate such an outgoing energy that is damaging a painting.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you have to be careful then to have a projector with a filter in front. And well, um, of course, well, there are also how to say cheap products where they are using the COB directly in the face to the people. Of course, this I wouldn't recommend you to use that.
Yeah, I suppose. So I'll let you get back to the story of when you lit up that painting for the first time.
Yeah. Well, I, as a convinced halogen guy, they asked me, well, to illuminate in a famous in a Baroque church, a painting of what was 8 meter by 5, or
That's
a
a huge painting.
huge one. Yeah, huge painting. And on this painting, there was a representation of how to say, killing of a martyr. Yeah, they are just cutting with a sword his head, and around a lot of horses, a very dramatic situation. And this painting was illuminated in the past, not naturally just from halogen lamps.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we made with the architect and so on the first testings, what will be the result of illuminating it with an LED projector? So I bring with me it was a special made we call it beam LED. Well, it's special made for architectural application.
When was this? How long ago was this?
Oh, 10 years ago, or maybe more. It was just the uh, uh, the change in between, where then the discharge lamps has been released into the LED technology.
Okay.
So just before, and for me that was so important to see. Then when we took on the LED projector onto this painting, I got not also only myself, but also with the architect, we got really shocked, because what we saw is, for the first time, we saw really the colors of the painting. Yeah, because the halogen lamps is every time, how to say, is a little bit yellowish first of all. Then the color what is coming back from that painting was really, how to say, not very clear. Then halogen is an omnidirectional light source. It means that this middle-aged painting was made with a lot of a thickness of color on the canvas, so that the painter would like to give a kind of a three-dimensional effect, painting it with a very thick oil color. And so the omnidirection halogen lamps was practically washing away this three-dimensional effect,
Yeah, it was
because
canceling out the shadows from the
yeah, the
texture.
shadows, yes,
Yes.
exactly, yes. So this is also something that we have to learn with our visible perception, that for us it's fundamental to see them, these micro shadows, in
Mm-hmm.
order to get a three-dimensional feeling. So, and when I took on this LED projector on it, um, the painting was coming to life. Yeah,
Mm.
before it was just like a photo, and then with the LED, it came to life. It was the deepness, the horses coming out, the dramatic situation was, let's say, emotional wise. From a photo, it changed to a living picture. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that is really talking to me. And this was such a shock. And then we tried also to understand what is the reason behind, why is this different illumination making such a big emotion in our visible perception. And well, it practically starting it, we discovered, first of all, is giving much better the colors. Then also is not killing the macro shadows.
Mm-hmm.
So the two-dimensional effect of that, what the painter has done, all his efforts is coming really invisible then. And and this was the, how to say, the starting point where I had to change my mind. I could then see for the first time that with LED, you cannot only, how to say, do something similar like before with halogen, but even better than halogen. Yeah,
Mm.
I can really show you that with LED you can make a better illumination with halogen, and of course you have to rely on the phosphor technology, and with RG with mixes, yeah, with just color mixes, we are a little bit more, how to say, it's a different way of illumination. If I would like to make color, then of course I have to stick with this kind of color engines. But if I would like to illuminate something really perfect in a full spectrum white light, um, there is no, how to say, way around the phosphor technology.
Yeah, and do you see in the future having another technology that will take over that phosphor technology? Do you think that there's room out there for improvement?
Well, as I told you, what will be in the future, I think, is the mix that we are mixing then
Mm-hmm.
on the same LED array, for example, phosphor LEDs with the color LEDs and so on. And in
But
order to
there's a
get the
maximum
advantage,
there's a maximum of color sources that you can fit into one chip or one source. So I suppose there will always be drops between the frequencies, right?
um, yeah, well, now guessing in this moment all the technical problems that we will face then in the future, with these new LED engines that are coming. It's a bit early to tell you, but what I see is we are already in such a, how to say, high quality. We are better now than in the past with halogen. So,
Mm.
and we are still, how to giving how the possibilities that you couldn't imagine some years before. And of course, we have to learn to work with the different color temperatures, for example. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when is the right moment to use a 3000 Kelvin? When is the right moment a 4000 Kelvin engine or 5600 Kelvin engine? And there is how to say, not too much schools on nowadays that are really training you this, because the reason is very simple. Yeah, we are not many manufacturers that are using all these different LEDs and engines. As Spotlight, we say we must have these differences in LED engines in order to give you the possibilities. But for a manufacturer, it's quite hard to develop so many different products. Every of this engine needs another electronic. Can you imagine how big is the research and development behind all these things?
Yeah, and so at that point, education will always be one step behind technology because it's a work in progress, and by the time all the academic structure is made around that technology, we'll already have moved on to another technology. Which is probably the reason why when I studied I studied computer programming back in the 80s, early 80s, and they showed us how to make perforated cards, which were already obsolete at the time.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, so exactly. I guess most of this stuff people have to get their basic education and then learn on the job as technology becomes available.
Sure. Yeah, but I have to say that we are living also in a special time. Yeah, it's the LED came out for our entertainment business just around 10, 15 years ago. So it's not a long time span that we are living into. But then in the future, the youngsters they will look on us and say, "Oh, you have worked with halogen. What is this halogen? Oh, something dangerous." And well, this will be funny.
Yeah, I suppose there'll be some funny conversations down the line. Before we go, I'd like to have a quick go through. I mean, you're obviously a lighting designer. I'd like to have a little retrospective of what you've worked on. I mean, were you working on music, on plays, dance, theater? What exactly did you go through all this? And I know you've done some touring also, and all your experience in that field, and what made you do the transition towards Spotlight and the more corporate field of work.
Yeah. Well, as I told you already in the beginning, as lighting designer, I started in Florence, Italy. My career, and it was international performing art group where we went all around the globe, doing productions for especially musicals, then TV productions, then also theater plays or big conventions and so on. I was touring in South America, in America, North America, then mainly, of course, in Europe here, in that time, what was for me the let's say the most challenging task was every time the musicals. Yeah, that's what I love, because musicals is a mix in between elements from theater, but also then elements from rock and roll, let's say.
Yeah, more dynamics.
And, yes, it is dynamic and so on. And for example, theater plays for me was every time very boring, because you have to push every maybe 2 or 3 minutes the next scene that is coming. So that this is not very exciting from the point of view for a lighting designer. But then also television productions. Every time when came television, it was not very, how to say, fancy to work with it, because they were mainly just asking to put all your lights on full and to have more and more light on in order that the cameras can take enough, how to say, luminosity in for the transmission. And then also I had to stay every time in front of a monitor and following up the picture on a monitor.
Yeah.
And this is also not, how to say, somebody that is not a technician but more art orientated, with a lot of creativity inside the bones.
Yeah, at that point, you're not working for the public. You're working for the TV, for the screen, and that's
Yes.
yeah. You
Yes.
have to almost tie your hands behind your back.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. But it was also fun. I mean, so I learned quite well how to work in a television studio, and this is helping me also today when I go in television studios to find also the right lighting solutions for them,
Mhm.
and to know exactly the needs, what they need, and how they work, and so on. This is helping me really a lot.
Oh, that's great. So, in closing, the transition between your touring life and your designing life to the, as I said, the corporate world or the manufacturer
Yeah,
world, how did
yeah.
that happen?
Well, I've been traveling around the world in tours for more than 11 years, and you can imagine that, especially in young times, a certain moment becomes really the need also for something more stable, and especially for family. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then for family life, you need to have um, how to say, a secure income, monthly income. You
Yes.
have to have a stable place. Yeah, if you are traveling in touring around the world, this is something that not very compatible then. And this was also, how to say, my I'm quite happy to be in spotlight, because I'm still traveling a lot around the globe, but
You get the
not
best of
anymore
both worlds.
Yes. Well, not in the COVID situation,
No,
of course.
obviously not, but this will
So,
pass.
yes. I really looking forward to see you all guys really shake hands and to do something together face to face. That's what I love.
Oh, yeah, we're all very anxious to get out there and start meeting people for real. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, it will happen. It will happen. We'll have to be patient, I guess.
Yes. Well, in this moment, we started already to plan the ProLight and Sound in Frankfurt
Mm-hmm.
in April. So, well, we wish and we hope that many of lighting designers are coming over, and that we can have not only a chat but also to see all these lighting solutions where I try to give just a glimpse of an overview, and yeah, and then also to hear especially your experiences and share it together and try to find solutions. Well, this is what we really like.
Well, Thomas,
Great.
it's been a great talk. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with us. And I'll be honest, I've learned a lot in this conversation.
Yeah, well, we are learning together. This is what is my personal believing, because in the moment that you stop trying to learn, to open eyes and so on, then you become old then.
Yeah.
And I'm still feeling young, really young inside.
Well, I can see that. I can see that, and I'm with you all the way. I don't plan on getting old anytime soon.
Very good, very good.
All right. Well, thank you
So,
so much, Thomas.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
a lot,
Take care.
for your time.
Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Yep, also you. Good
Okay.
weekend.
Yes, you
Yeah,
too. Bye-bye.
bye.
The Backstage Cowboys podcast is brought to you by AVL Media Group and Lights, who make the best lighting consoles in the world. If you live in Canada, you now have access to the Lights Academy online learning platform. The cost is $229, and that includes an editor Avo key delivered directly to your door. Head on over to BackstageCowboys.com and click on the Lights Academy logo to get all the details.